guys, I hope you're doing well today. We're going to pick up with our grammar on page 311. Today we're going to work on page 311 and 312. So we're going to talk about today complex sentences, okay? Remember before we talked about a simple sentence, which is one independent clause, zero dependent clauses. A compound sentence is a two or more independent, zero dependent. Today we're talking about a complex sentence. A complex sentence has one independent clause and one or more dependent clauses. So that means if it has a dependent clause, it has to have an introductory word. So remember, our introductory words are those relative pronouns like who, whose, whom, which, that, or subordinating conjunctions like after, although, because, since, when, okay, those conjunctions. So you have to look for an introductory word. If you see the introductory word, then you have a subject and a verb after it, then you know you have a dependent clause. You have to have at least one in order to have a complex sentence, okay? So let's look at exercise A on page 311. First, we're going to work on picking them out, all right? And then we're going to diagram a few of them. So look at exercise A. All of these sentences are complex. So we're going to find our subjects and verbs. We're going to put brackets around the dependent clause. So look for the introductory word because that's going to start your clause and put brackets around it. Let's look at number one. The heart of him that hath understanding seeketh knowledge. Okay, do you see your introductory word? Put brackets around your clause. What is it? That hath understanding, right? Okay, now what's the subject and verb inside? That hath, okay? What's the subject and verb outside the dependent clause? Heart seeketh. Good. All right, number two, there was a man sent from God whose name was John. What's my clue word? Okay, good. Whose, so that starts my clause, whose name was John. There's your clause. Okay, subject and verb inside, name was. Subject and verb outside, the subject and verb of the independent clause is man was sent. Good. All right, number three. What are you putting in brackets? Look at number three. I hope you saw your clue word, which. And in brackets is which is turned away from us. Subject and verb inside, which is turned. Subject and verb outside, death is. Good. All right, number four. What are you putting brackets around? Did you put them around who bravely dares? Okay. What is the subject and verb inside? Who dares. What is the subject and verb outside? Ooh, this one's tricky. Well, my verb is must risk. Who or what must risk? My whole dependent clause there, it's a noun clause acting like the subject. So that clause there is also the noun of my independent clause, okay? A little bit tricky. Number five, what are you putting in brackets? Do you see your clue word? I hope you said if, right? So if begins, it goes all the way to the end. Okay, so what's my subject and verb inside? One has. Good. What's my subject and verb outside? Opinions can survive. Good. Number six. What is your clue word? What are you putting brackets around? Did you put it around before they thoroughly believe it? Good. If you did. All right. Subject and verb inside. They believe. Subject and verb outside. Men must love. Good. Number seven. What am I putting brackets around? That love God. Good. Subject and verb inside. That love. Subject and verb outside. Things work. All right, number eight. What are you putting brackets around? You see your clue word there? It's one of our W words. Brackets around. Whose house is of glass? Good. What is my subject and verb inside those brackets? House is. Good. What's my subject and verb outside the brackets? Ooh. Well, my verb is must throw. Who or what must throw? What's my subject? Again, that whole noun clause is acting like the subject of the independent clause, okay? Number nine, brackets around. Ooh, there's two things that need brackets. Did you find them both? What do you have? What lies calmly in the distance and what lies clearly at hand? Good. Subject and verb inside. Both of those is what lies. Good. Subject and verb outside. Business is. Good. All right. And number 10, again, you have two things that need brackets. Do you see them? What are you putting brackets around? Who believes nothing? Good. And what he can prove by scientific methods. Good. Okay. Subject and verb inside. Who believes? Subject and verb inside the other one. He can prove. Subject and verb outside the clause is God pity. Good job. All right, go ahead and turn the page. Let's talk about diagramming complex sentences, okay? So when you're diagramming complex sentences, when you're doing an adjective clause, and your dotted line is going to go from the relative pronoun or from the relative pronoun to the word that it is describing, okay? For an adverb clause, the dotted line goes from the verb of the dependent clause to whatever word it's describing. Okay, if it's describing the verb, it'll go to the verb. If it's describing an adverb, it'll go to the adverb. Okay, noun clauses, remember, are up on stilts. So if you have a noun clause, that's going to go up on stilts. All right, so let's look down at the bottom of the page, and we are going to diagram. Let's look at number 1 together. The same sun that melts the wax hardens the clay. So the first thing you should do is put your brackets. Okay, so put your brackets around your dependent clause. Okay, your dependent clause is that melts the wax, right? Remember, you always diagram your independent clause first. My independent clause is the same sun hardens the clay. So sun is my subject, hardens is my verb, clay is direct object, the is describing, the and same is describing sun. Now that is my subject of my dependent clause, that melts wax, the is describing wax. Notice that my dotted line, I have an adjective clause. My dotted line goes from the relative pronoun to whatever word it's describing. In this case, that melts the wax is describing sun. So my dotted line is going to go from a relative pronoun to sun. Okay? All right, so we've done that one together. Let's look at number 2. Okay? Number 2. Before Newfoundland became a Canadian province in 1949, it was a British colony. All right, what are you putting brackets around? I hope you're putting brackets around before Newfoundland became a Canadian province in 1949. That is my dependent clause. So I am not, even though it comes first in the sentence, I'm not diagramming it first. I'm going to diagram my independent clause first, which is it was a British colony. So how am I going to do that? Okay, it is my subject. What is my verb? It was what? Did you say colony? Okay, it was colony. What kind of a colony? I have 2 words describing what kind of colony it was. Okay, a British colony. Okay, so there is my dependent or my independent clause. Of course, these would be written on the line, slanted on the line. I'm not going to take time to do that right now. Okay, so now let's do our dependent clause. What is the subject? Newfoundland. What is the verb? Newfoundland what? Became. Newfoundland became what? Province. What words describe the province? And what should go here? Canadian. Again, it would be on the line. All right, and then what goes here? In 1949, right? Because that is telling me when it became. So it is a prepositional phrase functioning as an adverb, okay? Now, where am I going to put the word before? Remember, when you have a subordinating conjunction, the subordinating conjunctions go on the dotted line. So you would write before on the dotted line right here, okay? So you're going to put before on your dotted line, and of course you would write it right on the line like that, okay? So that's how you do number 2. How did you? Did you get it right? Let's look at number 3. We're just going to do through number 5, okay? We're just going through number 5. All right, so let's look at number 3. Read your Bible until it burns in your heart. All right, do you see your clue word? What is your clue word, your introductory word? What are you putting brackets around? Until it burns in your heart. Good. All right, so let's diagram our independent clause first, which is read your Bible. So my subject is, did you get it? Understood you. Good. Understood you. What is my verb? Read. You read what? Bible. Okay, what's going right here under Bible? Did you say your? Then you are correct. All right, now let's do our dependent clause. What goes here? What is the subject of my dependent clause? Did you say it? Okay, what's my verb? Burns. Good. Okay, now what's going here? My prepositional phrase, right? In, heart is the object. Your is describing. Now, where do I put until? I hope you said on the dotted line. Oops. On the dotted line. You would be correct. How did you do? Did you get number 3? All right, number 4 is more of a challenge. Okay, number 4 is a challenge. See if you are up to it. All right, so for number 4, let's look at it. I tremble for my country when I reflect that God is just. Do you see we have 2 instructive words in here, right? We have when I reflect that God is just. All right, so let's break it down. Let's do the independent clause first, which is I tremble for my country. So let's start there, okay? Small pieces. I, okay, what is the verb? Tremble, okay. Then what's going to go here? All right, if you said your prepositional phrase, you are correct. Okay, so I tremble for my country. All right, there's my independent one. Okay, now let's take the dependent clause. When I reflect. Okay, so my subject is I. Good. My verb is when I reflect. What do I reflect? That God is just. That God is just is my noun clause, acting like the direct object. Remember, noun clauses go up on stilts. Okay, so now that God is just. What is my subject and verb inside? Okay, God is my subject. Okay, what's my verb? Is. God is what? God is just, right? Predicate adjective. Okay, now remember when you have a noun clause, your relative pronoun, when it does not have a function, it's going to be a floater, okay? You join it on this floating line here connected to the verb, all right? So you see, once you take it apart and do little piece by little piece, it's not that difficult. How did you do? Did you get it figured out before I got it all up there? All right, let's do the last one. Number 5 is even more complicated, but I'm convinced that you can do it. Okay, so let's look at Halley's Comet, which passes by the Earth about every 76 years, will probably be seen again in 2063. All right, so let's put brackets around what? Which passes by the Earth about every 76 years. That's my dependent clause, so let's wait on that one, okay? We'll kind of put that to the side, wait on that. Let's do the dependent clause first, all right? My dependent clause, my subject is comet, right? So down here, okay, I'll put my describer. Halley's Comet, what is the subject? What is my subject? Get all the pieces. Will be seen. Okay. Let's get that down on the line a little bit more. All right, what do you think goes here? If you said probably, you are correct. Okay. What do you think goes here? Right, the adverb again, telling me when. All right, what goes here? Another adverb phrase, prepositional phrase, telling me when in 2063. Hopefully you all will be around to see that. I'll be an old lady by then if I'm still around. Who knows? All right, now let's look down here. Let's diagram now our dependent clause. What is my subject of my dependent clause? Good. Which is my relative pronoun. Now, this is an adjective clause, okay? Because it's describing Halley's Comet. Which is my subject. What is my verb? Which passes. All right, now what's going here? By. What's going here? by the earth. All right, now what are we going to put here? About, because that is a preposition, okay? About years. Oops. All right, what's going to go on this line? What did you put? Did you put 76? I hope so. And then on this line here is going to be the adverb every. Every 76 years. We still have one. No, we don't. We didn't. I don't think we skipped anything. We got all the words on there. All right, how did you do on that one? A little bit more complicated, but I hope you got it. All right, so that's all we're going to do for diagramming today. So now you just need to watch your Cyrano video. Remember, we're going to have a live Zoom meeting on Thursday. So make sure that you are ready to join our class for that meeting, and that will be at 11:30. So after the chapel time that we have at 10, and then we will meet as a class just for a few minutes at 11:30. I would suggest that you wait till after that meeting to take your Cyrano quiz, and I will see you then.